Hi, everybody. It's amazing to be here. How can we fix this? This is essential, and I'm glad that you set me up that way. I want everyone to know where I'm coming from on this. My background was that I was a fact checker at CNN, and I was fact checking all sorts of things. Politicians who really enjoy making things up, and pundits, world leaders. I was fact checking everyone. And then I started to turn that lens on modern parenthood, and I started to see, when I became a parent, how incredibly many popular myths there were about moms and dads. And I was covering that. And then I started to look at policies and how to this day in the workplace, as you're presenting when you bring this up, so many policies are still designed based on what in this country we can call the Mad Men era. And that's a reference to a TV show which looks at the 1950s. Basically, work cultures around the world were designed on a very gender normative, or a very gendered idea that women are supposed to stay home and men are supposed to stay at work. So I started covering that, and then all of a sudden I became the dad in the news because my wife was very sick with our third child, and my daughter was born prematurely, and I had told the company in advance, hey, I'm going to need the caregiver leave. And that came as a shock to them, because a man who has a baby the old-fashioned way, how could he possibly be the caregiver? That doesn't even make sense to them. And it was very strange policy, because if I gave my daughter up for adoption and another guy adopted her, he could get 10 paid weeks to care for her. But I couldn't get 10 paid weeks to care for her because I had her the old-fashioned way. And there were so many strange things about it. So the short version is I took legal action, and the company revolutionized its policy, and they will tell you the same thing that I will, that the better policy is a win-win for the company. And that's what my book, All In, is all about as well. And in the process, I got all this attention, and it came as a surprise. And so I tried to figure out what was so interesting about my case, and I came to understand what it was. That to many people, my case became a symbol of what was wrong with these policies all over the world. That they are designed, to this day, to be gender police, pushing women to stay home and pushing men to stay at work. And when you understand that, all of a sudden so many things come into focus. For example, it is a national shame in this country that we are the only developed nation that does not have a paid maternity leave system. It makes no sense, okay? And here's the problem. A lot of people will complain about that, but no one ever explains why. When I dug into the book, suddenly I understood why. It was like, eureka. Of course we don't have paid maternity leave. The thinking is, she's a woman. Who needs her money? The man's supposed to make the money. When you understand the mentality behind it, you see what's wrong. Oh, cool, okay, this is my paternity leave map. Take a look at this. The darker the nation, the more paternity leave is available. So the United States is, of course, one of the lightest because we have nothing. But what's really pathetic about this is the overwhelming majority of available paternity leave in the world goes unused. So even though it's dark in a lot of these countries, it doesn't even matter. The vast majority all over the world goes unused. And why? Because of stigmas. We can thank HarperCollins for this nice graphic. This isn't a line from my book, but this is a proven fact that there are all these stigmas in which men who dare to take time off for caregiving are demoted or fired when they return. So men are afraid of this. So all of a sudden, this role became so clear to me. The role at which negative expectations, backward expectations of men is hurting women in the workplace. Because when you have a culture and a set of policies that push against men being caregivers, you're going to take women's choices away. You're going to take everyone's choices away, and that ultimately hurts everyone. And just one thing I found really interesting in an international study showed that the overwhelming majority of men worldwide want to have more time at home with their kids. These stigmas are global. Now, does this mean that every man is like me, lining up on the front lines of feminism? No. But the good news is that there are legions of men. There are literally millions of men around the world. I'm actually not, a lot of people start to think, oh, he must be exceptional. I'm not. I am in this country statistically the norm in terms of how committed I am to my family, the fact that I value it over money, because many of us, so many of us, are the children of feminists, and we grew up in an era in which we believed that there would be gender equality. But you know what happened? I was surrounded by all these brilliant women growing up. I went to Yale, which is a great school, surrounded by brilliant women. Then I get out in the workplace, and less than 5% of the CEOs are women. So what went wrong? What went wrong is I grew up with gender equality, but the workplace didn't. So when you talk about what needs to be done, what we need to have done is reform our policies and also our culture worldwide inside businesses, big and small, in order to make sure that families have choices. And to everyone outside this room who is hearing this, there's one thing that you need to know, okay? It is proven and it is fact that when you establish gender equality, you have better businesses, a better economy, a better society, and better off families. And what's best for families is always what's best for your society and for the world. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh, for that really refreshing point of view. It's really perfect for this event and for all our WEPS companies and our friends who are attending the 60th UN Commission on the Status of Women.